under attack. But not for long, because Hypo is here. That's it.
Protect every day with Hypo.
Welcome back. It's still the mid-morning show right here on BCOS television, and we are discussing security beyond the uniform. An interesting quote there. Let's have it back on the screen. The quote, please. Okay, it says, real security is built when authority and accountability meet halfway.
Yeah.
You cannot outsource responsibility
And expect guaranteed
safety.
I think that's what our guest is talking
Exactly.
about. But sir, you know,
Spot on.
Yeah, spot on. The real security is built when authority and accountability.
Oh, yes.
And with authority and accountability work hand in hand, I think there has to be a level of trust.
Oh, precisely.
And you also said that the trust isn't there anymore.
It's not
So
there.
how far gone has the trust between the state and the people? How far has it gone? And can it even be mended since it's been lost?
Yes. I would say with the level, he is no longer there at all. You know, because like I said earlier, the moment you begin to feel that security personnel are taking cut from ransom taken from victims, the relation of victims, you know, it shows that we don't even trust the agents of the state any longer. You know, it has gone really bad. You know, because, you see, when you look at a structure, and that structure has so much impoverized you, you don't have trust in that structure. If you have a father, and then there are basic things that a father is expected to provide, and is not providing, your confidence in the father is eroded. You know, when I started this conversation, I did say clearly that the state is for human security, in terms of physical security, in terms of economic security. But where is the state meeting the basic needs of the people? Out there, you find the state assisting the people to survive. I always share this experience. I took my daughter to usage, and then I looked around, there was a particular boy that they brought. 7, 8 year old boy. And then they asked the father to go and get milk. The guy went for ages. And when the nurses couldn't find, they had to borrow milk. And then the guy came back much later to say he couldn't find milk. I looked at him. Is that usage? No, they are selling milk. So the guy just walked to me and said, no, I don't have money for milk. So if the young man could not provide money for milk, apparently by the time doctors begin to write prescription, he won't be able to buy prescriptions. I gave the guy some amount of money and left. I don't know what happened to the 7-8-year-old boy. Now, the boy was not given any opportunity to live. You know, you understand? So when you find a society that are not shown commitment to the citizens, it becomes difficult for that society, for individual citizens to have trust in that. And so if you are going to start that process, the first thing that you do is that state institutions, you have to try and strengthen state institutions such that they become capable. You mentioned the issue of accountability.
Yes.
We call it CAR. State institutions becoming capable in terms of living up to expectation, in terms of performing its mandate. State institution becoming accountable to the people. We don't have accountable state institutions. Our leaders are not accountable. They just come around when elections are around the corner, and then once they are elected, they disappear. They don't even come around to share policy direction with you. You understand? So, and then you're talking about the state institution being responsible and responsive. You know?
The double
And responsive. You understand? Amnesty International will tell you that when the Chibok girl issue came up, that they drew the attention of the Nigerian state to a likely attack of Chibok by the Boko Haram insurgents. That's some 48 hours before. But there was no prompt response from the state. And that was why I said early warning, early response. You know, sometimes you say we have a responsibility to warn. Apart from responsibility to warn, you have the responsibility to look at indices, to look at your environment, and then deduce some meaning from that, do some kind of analysis, and then draw some conclusion, and then respond. But more often than not, state institutions do not respond early enough. And then the Boko Haram guys came, they carried 248 years away. To the extent that when they were carrying them away, the truck spoiled on the way. That was when some of these guys escaped. But they still went away. You understand? Yeah. So I think the takeoff point when you want to make this state institution is citizens should begin to make serious demand on these institutions. You see, all the institutions of the state are not living. If you apprehend criminals, take to the police, take through the court, you know, the chances that you find cases when even criminals, when you take them to security agencies, they say, look, even before you return home, the criminal is back at home. You understand? So the takeoff point is this: these state institutions, how do we make them strong? And you cannot expect leaders or politicians that are benefiting from these weak state institutions to reform them. You understand?
That's big.
You see, in peace studies, you know, in conflict analysis, we know that when you have a conflict, some people are benefiting from that arrangement. We call them conflict entrepreneurs. You know, so for such people, if you are preparing an intervention, you must take into account that there are some people, you know, the truth of the matter is that our leaders, our politicians are not too much interested in making this state institution to function well. Because if they function well, many of them will be in prison. Yes. You find them breaching the law, you find them violating, you find them doing all manner of things. If state institutions are there, those institutions will go after them. You know?
Okay, let's put it this way. A particular argument has been brought forward.
Yeah.
People say that in days preceding military rule and all that, when Nigeria still functioned at the level of regions, that the police worked well then. And that's because the whole thing was community-centered.
Yeah.
But with the excessive centralization of power, that changed. And that's what gave birth to the reality we have now. Now, the idea of state police is being advanced. And we have the National Assembly working on the Constitution right now to make that possible. Is that what we need, or is that just another rhetoric?
Well, it's part of what we need. You know, we pretend to be running a federal system. What we are running is a mockery of federalism. This is not a federal state. You know, it's just federal in name. I mean, in a federal setup, you don't find a situation whereby Accountant General of a state will go and sit down in Abuja for weeks waiting to collect money to run his state. It's supposed to be the other way around. You understand? Yeah. So this is not federal. So there is a need for us to rejig our structure, you know, such that powers will be brought back to the state or region as it were, you know. the issue of security is local. You know? I mean, many a times we heap the blame on Abuja and on this. No. You see, it's local. You are waiting for Abuja to come and help you secure your community. But that is the arrangement we have on ground. You know, that's the arrangement. So this talk of state policing is a good idea, you know, if properly structured, right? Because there is danger there. In my center, I am the director of the Teflon Center of Excellence in Security Management at the University of Ibadan. About 3 weeks ago, we had a program on a roundtable discussion, you know, on state policing. We had this program in conjunction with the Dawn Commission.
Okay,
done. You know, I mean, that body is doing wonderfully well in terms of, you know, generating ideas on how to solve a lot of problems. The director general is my friend, and a wonderful person. At the Trenchard of University of Ibadan, a lot of people came. You know, people spoke about it. And why we decided to hold that program is that, look, it is desirable. It is just necessary. It is time for it. We cannot run away from it. You know, but we need to structure it very well. Because today, look at INEC. We have the federal INEC. We have the state electoral whatever. Look at the way governors are managing the state electoral body. I mean, you find a situation whereby once elections are conducted, state elections are conducted, the party of the governor wins all the seats. We know that is not the case now. It's fraud. It's fraud.
You say that's not possible at all. Is it possible when people actually have, I mean, the political party has goodwill, I mean, with the people?
Well, you see, but the goodwill you are talking about, have they been able to establish that seriously? You know, go and check the statistics. Almost all the elections across the country conducted by governors, their party will win. If you go and bring in your local area, if you go and bring a very responsible man as your candidate, if he's not in the party of the ruling party, the person will lose. It is because the state governors are manipulating the process. So the fear of state governors now using the security agencies to oppress and intimidate is a legitimate fear. And that is why I said there is a need to properly structure it. Yes, we look at the constitution, the constitutional rejigging and all that. And of course, we also need a kind of mindset, you know, that has respect for rule of law. We don't have a mindset that has a respect for rule of law. You know, democracy is about rule of law. We are having democracy without the Democrats. You know?
I want us to be clear about something on what you just talked about. And sometimes you even find the case whereby repeated attempt is made, even by a governor, a sitting governor, and making sure telling people, okay, basically this election, I'm not basically involved, so INEC in the state is going to be allowed to run things and do things well. When we talk about irregularities, that actually makes it possible for a ruling party to take over every available spot. Is it possible that the reasons for this is not necessarily malpractice in quote, but necessarily, but actually the people, the electorate, being, selling their votes or not even carrying out their own role. So, because I'm looking at it and it seems to me that it's possible that the politicians themselves may not directly have influenced things, but basically may have taken advantage of a poorer situation to actually do that.
Well, you are very, very correct. There is this theory or instrument in your hand. The civil populate have been so much pulverized, so much so that with some 3,000, 5,000, they buy their conscience. You know, that is what is happening. And you see, another issue is this. Democracy is for those who are informed. It is for those who are informed. When you find yourself in a climb, or in a situation whereby it's about number, democracy is about number. If you have 10 people here, and then they ask you to go and vote, if out of those 10 people, 7 of them cannot actually distinguish their right from their left, 7 of them are such that the 3,000, the 5,000 that the politician is giving them is an indication that that man is a good man. If you go to the poll with that scenario, the candidate of the 7 will win. And that does not necessarily mean that candidate has what it takes to deliver. You understand? That's the danger in a polity that you don't have informed citizenry. You know, sometimes they look at it from the perspective of the politicians are doing us a favor. You know, I laugh when they begin to say they bring lights on there, they bring transformer and all that. These are normal things that they should provide. There's nothing extraordinary they are doing. But they will continue to do it as if that they are doing us a favor. Are they using their resources to do those things? No. But you now find a situation whereby the citizenry cannot even make serious demand on their rights. And that's why, I will say publicly, you know, that's why the likes of Omoyele Sowore, you know, jotting the conscience of the leadership, you know, is a good development. But you see, the society has gone down.
It goes extreme.
Something
it goes extreme sometimes.
Well, that's your own judgment.
Some people,
you know, that's your own judgment. But you see, I'm worried about the future of this society, because if you go down to the basics, you know, I went to a university and I saw a bus branded, and it was about a student union election. Branding buses for student union election. You know, where is the money coming from? You know, these days you don't hear about NANS say they are making demand. In those days, some of these things that you hear from the National Assembly, NANS will march there, but where are the NANS guys?
They're actually there.
They are there.
At some
riding
and somebody else, yes,
you know, given to them by politicians. So that's the truth. We need to rise up as citizens to challenge the leadership. Leadership normally do not want to deliver. It is the citizen that will make them to deliver. It is the citizen that will make a demand on them.
But we are not doing citizens. We have citizens who are actually pouring their hearts out.
Their hearts.
And at some point, they get some form of silence, either from the society themselves or from the government. So where did this all begin, where even the citizens coming out becomes a problem?
Well, it's an unfortunate development. I mean, the situation you just painted is what we have now. You know, faith. You know, if you look at those the statistics of those who said, oh, they will vote with the cards, you know, if not for governors and politicians that will say, look, if you don't have your card as a civil servant, you will not be paid. Many people will not be bothering themselves to go and say, we want to go and get cards because we have lost the interest in the process. You understand? So I think, you see, when you are talking about legitimacy, there is lack of legitimacy in the governance of the Nigerian state. 2 issues drive legitimacy. There is what we call procedural legitimacy. I've gotten to power having satisfied the laid down rules. The process is fair, credible, and fair. You understand? And then there's what we call performance legitimacy.
Okay.
Now, if you seriously look at the procedural legitimacy, you are most likely to conclude that the procedure has not been properly followed. They have had their primaries now. And then look at the figures coming out from those primaries. You know, in terms of, and look at the crisis coming from those primaries. You cannot begin to talk of a democracy without the political parties. Do we have political parties in the recess of it? Our problem is multidimensional.
I think the multidimensional.
You know, it's complex, multidimensional.
There's a whole lot to still be
You know,
Yeah.
you cannot run a democracy without political party. And you don't have political parties. We only have vehicles that people use to access
For
power.
politics. Okay.
Okay, we'll continue from there right after this commercial break. Please stay with us.
The home is under attack, but not for long, because Hypo is here. Dirty floors and surfaces.
Not on our watch.
Dirty and stains no fit do us shakara. We got the remedy, original palasa. Hypo, go hypo.
Germs always find a way back.
No greed. Protect every day with Hypo.
Welcome back from that short commercial break, and the topic today is safety beyond security, beyond the uniform. And that quote has kind of gumbled a whole lot.
Oh, yes.
You're saying that your street
street
is your first checkpoint, your vigilance is your first defense. Security begins wearing different hands right at your doorstep. So what are we doing as citizens right now from our doorstep? Are we seeing
Everything
something?
seems to be right
Are
about
we
our
saying
being a
something?
citizen.
Yes. So
What we
it all
discussed
boils
so
down
far.
to us right now.
Yeah, you see, that's a very powerful whatever. Security is a collective responsibility. Like I said, both the state society provides security, right? That's why I said I'm so happy about this platform, this program. You know, trying to sensitize the citizens about their role, because beyond uniform, is focusing on you as citizens, your responsibilities to promoting security. You see, in peace security studies, there's what we call multi-track diplomacy.
Multi-track diplomacy.
Those tracks are talking about the channels, you know, through which you can participate in addressing security problem or issues of violence in your society.
Okay.
There are 9 of such
Let's
tracks.
have them.
The first track is talking about the state, and all the other tracks 2 to 9 talking about the society. I think track 9 or something is even the media. So somehow, this program you are doing, you are fulfilling your mandate within that track.
Okay.
You know, you are playing your role. So we have a responsibility to make other tracks. We have the religious people, we have the business people, we have the academia, you know, as part of those tracks. Are you getting my point? So the point I'm just trying to make is that it is time for us to get involved, to try and contribute our own little quota. Like that quotation was trying to put across. In your street, you see, we see some things around. We can no longer afford to be quiet about it. In UK, in societies out there, you find old women seated by their window like this, watching the street. Whatever they see that is strange, they pass to the appropriate authorities. You know? If you live in it, you see, criminals live with us. They are not living underground, they are not living
With us.
You understand? The moment we begin to notice some things. It is very important for, if you see a young man of 24 that you cannot define what he does for a living, and then he's driving an exotic car in the streets, you got to do something for Christ's sake. You know, our failure to do that, you know, brought us to this point. So the point is, the young man is undermining security to enjoy what he's enjoying. Whether through Yahoo or whether what we call rituals or whatever. You understand? So we should collectively begin to take a look at this materialistic, you know, orientation that has taken over the society. Don't let us celebrate criminals. You know, the moment you begin to withdraw your support, the moment you begin to frown at certain things, the society will reset itself.
Well, so you talked about religious bodies and every other thing being part of the multi-track. But they say the family is the bedrock of the society.
Yeah.
So how can the family, because we say in the doorstep, of course there is a family behind that door.
Yeah.
So what role can the family make in this part of this
Thank you very
multi-track?
much. You see, when you're talking about family, at the center of it, if a family is going to contribute to security promotion in the society, you talk of the values driving that family. You understand? Everything starts at the family level. But the Omoluabi philosophy that used to really drive our engagement in society is no longer there. So what family are you not talking about? Are you talking about a family of a father who went to buy laptop for his boy to do Yahoo? Or you're talking of a woman who took his boy to a Yahoo guy around? That means, I want this fellow to learn from you. They know the guy's into Yahoo. You understand? Or you are talking about a man, a father, who took his boy to juju people. I want you to falsify this boy for me. You know? And he knows why he's doing that. You understand? So, if you are talking about the family, what manner of family are you talking about? What is the nature and character of that family? You know? What are the values driving that family? That is where we have to start to. So we need to look at our values.
Our values.
Okay, now when I listen to you talk about the multi-track diplomacy, I'm sure that somewhere there we will have landlords and community associations and all that. Yes. But my problem is this. It doesn't seem feasible that as a single individual can drive the change we want. So I'm thinking of a case where we have organized efforts. Perhaps, first of all, locating individuals who have like minds, people who want things to change. Perhaps they can come together in a group. Maybe their voice and force would do something. Because right now, the average individual seems to want to run away because he feels he's a prey if he dares try to change things.
Yeah.
So don't you agree?
Well, I agree with you. You know, it takes people of courage to actually come out now and say we need to change things. You know, and sometimes I always think about how do we go about it. Now, you see, when this issue of Boko Haram started, somehow in this part of Nigeria, say, it was their problem. And then at another point, it came to the North Central. You know, it was still part of their problem. It got to Kwara, our neighbor here. You know, now we begin to say, this thing might eventually get to us. Now, as we speak, this thing is not knocking on our door. It's actually in our room with us. It's not about the Christ is knocking on your door. There's a word of difference. It's rare in your room. So, it's either you find a way of destroying the enemy or you are destroyed. You understand? So like he said, I think that, yes, let people who still have values, that respect some values, begin to come together, and form a united front against some of the vices in the society. You see, all these things that we are talking about, many a time they will ascribe kidnapping to a particular ethnic group. Oh, that is the ethnic behind it. But the truth of the matter is that it is not true. You know that these days, you don't hear about armed robbery again because it is no longer profitable. Because you are not even sure that when you get to my house,
there's money
there. But when you kidnap, you can be almost sure of millions. You understand? And now we have a society whereby, like I said earlier on, just be driving your exotic car, nobody asks you a question. This thing wouldn't have gotten to this point if it is a society that asks questions about resources, money you are using. I was in Germany for a fellowship. I got to a bank. I wanted to open an account. The conditions were so stringent to the extent that I decided to forget them. Before they can open an account for you in a bank, the street where you are living, you have everything about you must be documented. But you find a situation here whereby if you get to a bank today, I stand to be corrected, with millions, the manager will be running around to open an account with you, for you, not mindful of where the money is coming from. So it's a complex thing. It didn't start today. We need to reset the society due to many things, our politics, the way of celebrating people and all that. But like you said, it is redeemable. Redeemable in the sense that we cannot all fold our arms and get destroyed. We cannot do that. If we fold our arms and refuse to do nothing, we will get destroyed. And so this is a clarion call to people who value society to begin to bring like minds together to say we need to change the society. I was reading something about Cuba yesterday, and it was said that, at a point, every lady on the street of Cuba, is either into prostitution or is into this. But a leader came up, Fidel Castro came up, and changed things. People were not going to school there. But today, Cuban doctors are the best in the world because a leader came up. We might just be lucky if we continue to push, like you are doing here. You are bringing people to come and hear their view. Maybe in the course of our dialogue and discussion, like minds, like you said, will come around and begin to put structures in place. We begin to make demand of government and then change the society. We've got to change things in the society. We cannot continue in this manner. You cannot.
Okay, this is where we should be wrapping things up. I'm sure you have something you will still want to tell the people watching us right now. So what would be your advice to the public?
Well, you see, my advice to the public is that we should begin to challenge our leaders. Demand of them accountability. They front the resources before us. We should be interested. Well, I know that with agencies like EFCC and all that doing all that, they try. But the civil populace needs to be more aggressive in terms of making demand on the leadership. If we challenge the leadership, if we make a demand on accountability, things will get better. If you make a demand on accountability, state institutions will begin to live up to the expectation. But if you fold your arms, we will all be doomed.
Oh.
Thank you very much, Professor Benjamin Aluko, for coming on the show. Thank you for your insights. They've been quite eye-opening. We really appreciate you. Okay, he is the president, of course, and a fellow, Society of Peace Studies and Practice. And really, the pleasure has been ours having you. Thank you very much once again.
So we want to invite you to come and join our society.
I'll very much love that.
Last week, we had this induction workshop for members.
Okay.
Online.
Online,
you
wow.
go through a lot of training about strategic engagement, community building, peace building and all that, conflict analysis and all that.
Great.
You are trained.
Okay, so I
think we need to look into that as well.
From you.
Yes.
Thank you very
You are
much.
invited.
Okay,
It's
thank you
our
very
own
much.
little way of building a peaceful society.
Thank you so
And we
much.
appreciate you for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we'll take a break right now. When we return, it'll be time for the entertainment segment of the show. Mid-morning show still continues, so don't go away.